Hi guys, and welcome to the Gone To series. In the earlier tutorials, we talked about on how to make a function in RESTful web service accepts multiple parameters sent by the client in the HTTP URL as the query parameters and path parameters. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about on how RESTful web service would accept multiple parameters sent by the client in the HTTP URL as a matrix parameters. Before we go to this demo, let us see what do we mean by a matrix parameter in the HTTP URL. Matrix parameters are another way of defining parameters to be added to the actual path of the resource. This is an example of a matrix parameter HTTP URL. In this, the client has passed two parameters, 23 and 45. If the parameters are passed in the URL and are listed in this particular fashion, that is, one parameter is separated from other parameter using semicolon symbol, and parameters may appear anywhere in the path and are not limited to its end, then those parameters are known as the matrix parameters. These are few more examples of matrix parameters where the parameters are appearing with the path segments in the middle of the HTTP URI and at the end of the path of the HTTP URI. So this was all about matrix parameters definition in general, but till date the current implementation specs of RESTful web services like Jersey, RESTeasy, etc. do not talk much about matrix parameters usage with the REST APIs when they appear in the middle and not at the end of the URI. So I would just ignore and proceed without considering this aspect further in the demo. Alright, let's go to this demo for clear understanding. The client would call a get function getStudentInfo residing in the university RESTful web service using this HTTP URL. These are the roll numbers of the students which client would pass to the RESTful web services function as a matrix parameters. And then the RESTful web service would receive these parameters and map them to its function parameters and send the same roll numbers of the students back to the client as a response. Let's start. This is the demo we saw in last tutorial about how to accept multiple query parameters from a HTTP URL sent by the client using query param annotation. I would delete off this existing function and would create the new one for this demo. Just to save some time, I already have written this function. Let us go through it fully. The client would access this function using this URL. This function would extract these matrix parameters using matrix param annotation and map them to the strings student roll number 1 and student roll number 2. The matrix param annotation binds the value of a HTTP matrix parameter to a resource method parameter. So our function is ready. Let's run it on the server and test this. Paste the URL in your browser and press enter. Yes, the RESTful web service has accepted the multiple parameters sent by the client in the HTTP URL as a matrix parameters. In the next tutorial, we'll talk about how a RESTful web service accepts multiple parameters sent by the client in the HTTP URL as a form parameters.